The Jiu-Jitsu gym was loud and busy that evening. Heavy mats covered the floor, and the smell of sweat filled the air. Students rolled, trained, and laughed with confidence. Some wore bright belts around their waists, showing their rank with pride. The walls were covered with photos of champions and trophies. This place was not just a gym, it was a stage where people showed their strength and ego. Everyone here believed they were powerful, skilled, and important. The front door opened quietly. A woman stepped inside and paused for a moment. Her name was Maya. She was a black woman in her late 20s. She wore simple training clothes, old sneakers, and carried a small gym bag on her shoulder. There was no belt around her waist. Her face was calm, and her eyes were focused, but there was also a softness in her expression. She looked around slowly, taking in the room, as if she was remembering something from the past. A few students noticed her and stopped what they were doing. Some whispered to each other. Others smiled in a mocking way. One young man nudged his friend and laughed quietly. Another looked her up and down and shook his head. In their minds, she did not belong here. This gym was full of strong fighters, mostly men, mostly confident. Maya looked different. She looked quiet. She looked simple. At the front desk, the instructor stood with his arms crossed. He was a tall man with a black belt around his waist. His name was Coach Ryan, and he was proud of his status. He had trained many fighters and enjoyed being respected. When he saw Maya walk toward him, he raised an eyebrow. His eyes showed doubt before she even spoke. "I want to train," Maya said politely. Her voice was soft but steady. Coach Ryan gave a small laugh. "You're new?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. He looked at her clothes again and then at the busy mat. "This class is intense," he said. "Not easy for beginners." "I understand," Maya said calmly. Some students nearby heard the conversation and laughed. One of them whispered, "She won't last 5 minutes." Another said, "Maybe she's in the wrong place." Their words were not loud, but Maya could feel them. Still, she did not react. She simply filled out the form and paid the fee. As she walked toward the mat area, people made space for her, but not with kindness. It was more like curiosity mixed with judgment. Maya placed her bag near the wall and began to stretch quietly. While others talked loudly and showed off, she focused on her breathing. She moved her arms and legs slowly, with control. Anyone watching closely would notice that her movements were not careless. They were careful, practiced, and smooth. Training began. Coach Ryan clapped his hands and called everyone to line up. He explained the drills for the day. Maya stood at the end of the line, listening closely. Some students did not even look at her. Others glanced and smirked. One woman rolled her eyes and whispered, "Why did she even come?" During warm-ups, Maya followed every instruction perfectly. She ran, stretched, and rolled like the others. Still, no one paid her serious attention. When it was time to pair up, students quickly chose partners. Maya stood alone for a moment, waiting. No one stepped forward. Finally, a young man walked over, looking bored. "I'll go easy on you," he said with a fake smile. Maya nodded. "Thank you," she replied. As they practiced basic moves, the man did not take her seriously. He laughed when she slipped out of his grip once. "Lucky move," he said. But Maya did not smile. She simply adjusted her position and continued. Inside her mind, she was not nervous. She was not angry. She was patient. This was not her first gym. This was not her first time being judged. Coach Ryan watched from a distance. He noticed that Maya was quiet, but he assumed it was fear. He turned away, focusing on the louder, more confident students. He missed the way Maya observed every move around her. He missed the way her eyes followed the techniques with deep understanding. As the class went on, the laughter and whispers continued. Maya heard enough to understand what they thought of her. Still, she remained calm. She tied her hair back and wiped sweat from her face. She looked at the mat with respect, like someone greeting an old friend. When the class took a short break, someone finally asked her, "So, where did you train before?" Maya paused, then answered simply, "I train." The group laughed again, louder this time. They thought it was a joke. Maya did not explain. She did not argue. She just looked back at the mat, her eyes serious now. Deep inside, she knew something they did not. She had not come to prove anything. But soon, without planning it, the truth would come out. And when it did, the laughter in this gym would turn into silence. After the short break, the The class returned to the mat. The mood was still the same. Laughter echoed in corners, confidence filled the air, and ego stood tall. Maya tied her hair tighter and rolled her shoulders. Sweat covered her forehead, but her breathing stayed calm. She looked around, studying faces, movements, and energy. This place was loud on the outside, but inside her mind, there was deep silence and focus. Coach Ryan clapped his hands again. "Now we do live drills," he announced. "Light sparring. Control your strength." The word sparring excited many students. This was their chance to show power. Some cracked their knuckles. Others smiled with pride. A few glanced at Maya and laughed quietly again. One man whispered, "She's about to get crushed." Partners were chosen again. This time, Maya did not wait. She stepped forward and stood near the center. Her calm move surprised a few people. Before anyone could say anything, Coach Ryan pointed to a man wearing a brown belt. "Jake, you train with her," he said. Jake was strong, tall, and confident. He had been training for years and loved attention. He smirked and walked toward Maya. "Don't worry," he said loudly. "I'll be gentle." Maya looked up at him and nodded. "Thank you," she said softly. They bowed and began. At first, Jake moved slow, almost lazy. He thought this was a joke. He reached for Maya's arm carelessly. In one smooth motion, Maya stepped aside and slipped out of his grip. Jake frowned. He tried again, this time with more force. Maya dropped low, shifted her weight, and escaped again. The movement was fast but controlled. A few nearby students stopped talking. Jake laughed nervously. Okay, he said, trying harder now. He grabbed her shoulder and pushed forward. In a blink, Maya turned, used his strength against him, and brought him down to the mat. It was not violent. It was clean. Precise. The room grew quieter. Jake's smile disappeared. He stood up quickly, embarrassed. "Lucky," he muttered. They continued. This time, Jake was serious. He attacked with speed and strength. Maya met him calmly. She blocked, shifted, and moved like water. She never rushed. She never panicked. Every move had purpose. In seconds, she locked him into a tight hold. Jake froze. Coach Ryan turned around. "Tap," Jake said quickly. Maya released him immediately and stepped back. Now people were staring. Whispers spread, but this time they were different. Confusion replaced laughter. Surprise replaced pride. Coach Ryan walked closer, his eyes narrowed. He looked at Maya carefully, like he was seeing her for the first time. "Again," he said. They restarted. Jake tried everything he knew. But every time, Maya stayed one step ahead. She controlled distance, balance, and timing. She was not aggressive, but she was powerful. She moved with quiet confidence, like someone who had trained not for sport, but for survival. Soon, the bell rang. Jake walked away, breathing hard, his face red. He did not look at anyone. Maya stood still, respectful, waiting for the next instruction. The room was silent now. Coach Ryan cleared his throat. "Change partners," he said. This time, several people avoided Maya's eyes. No one laughed. No one whispered. Finally, a woman with a blue belt stepped forward. "I'll train with her," she said. They began. The woman was skilled, fast, and careful. But even she struggled. Maya did not dominate her, but she matched her perfectly. It was like watching two dancers who understood each other's steps. When the round ended, the woman stepped back and nodded with respect. "You're not new," she said quietly. Maya smiled slightly. "I never said I was." Coach Ryan's face was serious now. He watched Maya closely for the rest of the class. He noticed her posture, her balance, her control. This was not beginner skill. This was not luck. This was years of hard training. During the final round, Coach Ryan made a decision. He tied his belt tighter and stepped onto the mat. "I'll go with you," he said. The room froze. Everyone watched. This was the black belt. The leader. The one no one questioned. Maya looked at him calmly and bowed. They began slowly. Coach Ryan tested her with small movements. Maya responded smoothly. He increased speed. She matched it. His confidence started to crack. He tried a sharp move, one he used often. Maya countered instantly. Gasps filled the room. For a moment, Coach Ryan lost balance. Just for a second. But it was enough. Maya did not finish the move. She stopped. She stepped back. The bell rang. Silence covered the gym. Coach Ryan stood still, breathing hard. He looked at Maya with new eyes. Not doubt. Not pride. But respect, and a hint of fear. "Who are you?" he asked quietly. Maya wiped her face and answered calmly, "Just a student." But everyone there knew the truth was much bigger. And whatever was coming next would change this gym forever. The gym felt different after that round. The air was heavy, quiet, almost tense. Students who once laughed now stood still, pretending to stretch, but their eyes kept returning to Maya. No one joked anymore. No one smiled. Even the sound of bodies hitting the mat seemed softer, as if everyone was afraid to break the silence. Coach Ryan stepped off the mat slowly. His face was serious, his pride clearly shaken. He looked at Maya again, from her calm eyes to her relaxed posture. He had trained many fighters, but this was different. Maya had not tried to win. She had tried to control. That scared him more than strength. "Class dismissed," he said suddenly. A wave of surprise moved through the room. Training usually continued longer. But no one complained. Everyone was too focused on Maya. As people gathered their bags, whispers returned, but now they were full of questions. Where did she train? Is she a pro? Why didn't she say anything? Maya packed quietly, just like she had arrived. She did not enjoy the attention. She did not look proud. She simply folded her clothes and zipped her bag. As she turned to leave, Coach Ryan stopped her. "Wait," he said. The room froze again. Maya turned and faced him calmly. "You said you were new," he said. His voice was firm, but not angry. "I said I wanted to train," Maya replied softly. Some students nodded slowly. They understood now. She had never lied. Coach Ryan crossed his arms. "Where did you learn Jiu-Jitsu?" Maya hesitated for a moment. Then she spoke. "In places where belts did not matter." The words hit hard. A few students looked down at their own belts, suddenly unsure of their value. Coach Ryan took a deep breath. "You should have told me." Maya shook her head gently. "Would it have changed how you treated me?" No one spoke. The answer was clear. Coach Ryan looked away. His face showed regret. For the first time, he realized how quickly he had judged her. "You can stay," he said. "Train here. If you want." Maya nodded. "Thank you." As she walked toward the door, a young student called out, "Hey, I'm sorry." Maya stopped and turned. The boy looked embarrassed. "We laughed at you," he said quietly. Maya smiled, small but kind. "It's okay," she replied. "People fear what they don't understand." She left the gym that night, and the door closed softly behind her. But the story did not end there. Outside, the air was cool. Maya took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. Memories flooded her mind. Years ago, she trained in a small, broken gym in a rough neighborhood. No trophies. No mirrors. Just hard floors and harder lessons. Her first coach had been a quiet old man who believed skill mattered more than words. He taught her patience, discipline, and control. He taught her to never fight for pride, only for purpose. Back in the gym, the students were still talking. She almost got Coach Ryan. She stopped herself. She could have finished him. Coach Ryan stood alone now, deep in thought. He remembered how Maya moved, clean, calm, deadly if needed. He realized something important. Skill like that was not learned in comfort. The next day, Maya returned. This time, no one laughed. People made space for her, not out of fear, but respect. Coach Ryan watched closely as she trained again. He corrected her once, just to see her reaction. She listened and nodded, even though she already knew the move. That humility impressed him more than her skill. During sparring, students approached her differently. They bowed with respect. They trained seriously. They learned. One man asked, "Why didn't you show everything yesterday?" Maya answered simply, "Because this is not about winning." Her words stayed with them. But not everyone was happy. In the corner, one man watched Maya with anger in his eyes. He was a black belt visitor, known for his pride and power. He had heard the rumors. And he did not believe them. He walked toward Coach Ryan. "Let me train with her," he said coldly. Coach Ryan hesitated. Then he nodded. Maya looked up. This time, The challenge would not be friendly. And everyone felt it. Whatever happened next would expose the truth completely, and there would be no laughter left at all. The gym fell silent as the black belt stepped onto the mat. His name was Carlos, a veteran fighter with years of experience and a reputation for pride. He was tall, muscular, and moved with confidence that made the other students step back. Whispers ran through the gym. Everyone had heard about Maya's skills the day before, but no one had seen her face a real challenge. Now, the moment had arrived. Carlos smirked as he faced Maya. "Let's see what you've got," he said loudly, his voice carrying through the room. Maya bowed politely. "Yes, sir," she replied softly, her calm tone almost mocking his arrogance without words. She adjusted her stance, focusing her balance and breathing. Her eyes locked on his, steady and unshaken. The crowd gathered closer. Phones were ready. Cameras would catch this fight. Everyone wanted to see if the rumors were true. Could the quiet, simple-looking woman really challenge a seasoned black belt? Carlos attacked first. Fast, sharp, and aggressive. He moved with skill and precision, expecting an easy takedown. But Maya did not panic. She shifted lightly, slipping past his first attacks with smooth, fluid movements. She was like water, bending around his force without losing her own balance. A gasp escaped from the students. Carlos's confidence flickered for a moment. He tried a complex combination of moves, pushing harder, faster, with more strength. Maya countered each attack effortlessly. She did not use brute force. Instead, she anticipated, redirected, and trapped. Then, in one precise motion, Maya executed a flawless maneuver. She twisted, shifted, and applied a hold that immobilized Carlos instantly. His eyes widened in shock. The gym fell completely silent. No one dared breathe. "Tap," Carlos said quickly, realizing the position. Maya released him immediately and stepped back calmly. She did not celebrate. She did not smile. She simply adjusted her stance, ready for anything else. For the first time, Carlos could not find words. He had been defeated in seconds. Not by luck, not by surprise, but by skill, patience, and intelligence. The other students stared in awe, mouths open. Some whispered, "I can't believe it," while others shook their heads, speechless. Coach Ryan stepped forward. His expression was serious, almost proud. "Maya," he said, "where did you learn that?" Maya bowed lightly. "I have trained for many years," she said simply. The words were calm, almost casual, but the effect was explosive. Students who had laughed and mocked her the day before now looked at their own shoes, ashamed. Even Carlos, the black belt, finally straightened and nodded. Respect filled his eyes. "What? You didn't tell me," Carlos murmured, still catching his breath. Maya looked at him gently. "You didn't ask," she said. The gym remained in stunned silence. Cameras were still recording, but nobody knew what to say. Laughter, mockery, and whispers had vanished. In their place was awe, respect, and disbelief. Coach Ryan stepped closer to Maya. "You have changed this gym," he said quietly. "Not with words, but with action." Maya nodded, humble and calm. "I am here to train," she replied. As she walked to her bag, students approached slowly. Some bowed in respect. Some whispered apologies. One young man even said quietly, "I shouldn't have laughed at you." Maya smiled slightly. "It's okay. People often fear what they don't understand." The gym atmosphere had transformed completely. The quiet, humble woman who had entered timidly the day before had shown skill, discipline, and confidence no one expected. She had turned mockery into respect, and the seeds of a lesson for everyone present had been planted. And yet, as calm as Maya seemed, there was more to come. The challenge was not just about skill, it was about teaching humility, patience, and true strength. The next moments would reveal not only her past but also the reason she had come to this gym. The students, and even the black belts, were about to learn a lesson they would never forget. The gym remained in stunned silence after Maya's match with Carlos. No one moved, no one spoke, and even the usual clatter of mats seemed muffled. Students stared at her, trying to process what had just happened. The quiet, simple-looking woman had just dominated a black belt, something no one had expected and no one could ignore. Coach Ryan stepped forward, his face serious but with a spark of pride. He looked at Maya closely. "Enough games," he said. "It's time to tell us the truth. Who are you really?" Maya paused, taking a deep breath. Her calm eyes scanned the room. She looked at the students, at Carlos, and finally at Coach Ryan. She spoke slowly, choosing her words carefully. "I have trained for many years," she began. "I started when I was a teenager, in a small gym where no one cared about your rank or your status. The only thing that mattered was skill, respect, and discipline." Gasps ran through the room. Students whispered to each other, realizing how wrong they had been to mock her. "I have competed in national tournaments," Maya continued. "I have faced strong opponents and learned to remain calm, patient, and precise. Today, I did not show all my strength, because this was never about proving myself to anyone here." Carlos, still catching his breath, looked at her with wide eyes. You held back?" he asked. Maya nodded gently. "Yes. I could have finished the match quickly, but it was important to show control, respect, and skill, not ego. You all underestimated me because of how I look. That is the mistake I wanted to teach." The room went completely silent. Students who had laughed the day before now looked ashamed. One young man muttered, "I can't believe we treated her like that." Another whispered, "I feel terrible for mocking her." Coach Ryan spoke again, his voice calm but firm. "You came here not to compete, but to teach a lesson. And you have succeeded. Respect and skill are not measured by appearance, belt color, or confidence. Maya has shown us all that." Maya smiled softly. "I am not here to shame anyone. I am here to train, to share, and to remind everyone that humility and focus matter more than pride or laughter." Carlos stepped forward, his expression serious now. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I judged you without knowing anything. Today, I have learned a lesson I will not forget." Maya nodded. "Thank you. That means a lot." The other students slowly approached her. Some bowed in respect. Some whispered apologies. Even those who had been the loudest in mocking her felt humbled. Maya did not scold anyone. She simply accepted the respect and continued to carry herself with quiet dignity. Coach Ryan clapped his hands lightly. "From today, Maya will help us train. She will lead some sessions and guide students. There is much to learn from her, not just in technique, but in patience, humility, and courage." Maya's eyes softened as she nodded. "I will do my best," she said. By the end of the day, the gym had transformed. The arrogance and laughter were replaced with respect and focus. Students who had doubted her now saw her as a mentor. Carlos, the black belt, had learned a hard lesson about judging others. And Maya? She had quietly, confidently shown that true skill and respect could not be measured by appearances or assumptions. For everyone in that gym, the memory of this day would never fade. The new student who was laughed at had revealed her truth, and in doing so, had changed the way they all saw strength, respect, and humility forever. The gym was quieter than it had ever been. Even after the matches ended, students lingered near the mats, still processing what had happened. The laughter and chatter from the previous days were replaced with thoughtful silence. Everyone understood, at some level, that they had been wrong to judge Maya. The air was heavy with a mix of awe, embarrassment, and newfound respect. Coach Ryan stood near the center, arms crossed, watching the students. His face was serious. For years, he had run this gym, proud of the hierarchy, the belts, and the confidence of his students. But Maya's presence had shifted everything. He realized how often he had allowed pride and assumptions to overshadow true skill. He called the class together. "Listen carefully," he said, his voice firm but calm. "What happened here today is more than a match. It is a lesson. Maya has shown us that respect and humility are far more important than pride or appearances. How we treat others matters." Some students nodded, eyes lowered. Others shuffled nervously, still ashamed of their earlier mockery. A few students who had openly laughed approached Maya one by one. "I'm sorry," one whispered, voice shaking. "I didn't believe in you, and I was wrong." Maya smiled softly, placing a hand on the student's shoulder. "It's okay. We all make mistakes. What matters is that we learn from them." Even Carlos, the black belt, stepped forward. His pride had been bruised, but he now held respect for Maya. "I underestimated you," he said quietly. "I will not make that mistake again." Maya nodded. Strength is not about arrogance or showing off. It's about control, patience, and respect, for yourself and for others. The students listened intently. For many of them, this was a turning point. The lesson was not just about Jiu-Jitsu techniques, it was about character. They realized that mocking someone or judging based on appearances could lead to embarrassment, regret, and missed opportunities to learn. Coach Ryan addressed the class again. From now on, we train with humility. We treat each other with respect, no matter the belt, age, or experience. And Maya will be helping me with training sessions. We all have something to learn from her example. The students nodded, feeling the weight of his words. Some still whispered among themselves, but now it was admiration, not mockery. As the class ended, Maya packed her bag. She had not come for recognition or praise, yet the respect she earned was undeniable. She walked toward the exit, her steps calm and composed. The students watched her, some with admiration, some with lingering regret. Outside the gym, Maya paused and looked back. The building was quiet now, but the energy inside had changed. She had turned mockery into respect, doubt into understanding, and arrogance into humility. Inside, Coach Ryan watched her go, reflecting on his own behavior and the attitudes of his students. He realized that leadership was not just about being skilled or experienced, it was about knowing when to teach, when to guide, and when to allow lessons to be learned in unexpected ways. That day, the gym had been transformed. The students, once full of pride and judgment, now carried a lesson that would stay with them forever. Never underestimate someone, for true strength is often hidden, and respect is earned through understanding and humility. And as Maya disappeared into the evening light, everyone knew this was only the beginning. Her presence would continue to shape the gym, the students, and even the instructors. The lesson of humility, respect, and quiet strength would echo in every training session from that day forward. The stage was set for the final moment, the ultimate proof that Maya's skill, patience, and character were unmatched, and that her journey had only just begun. Days passed, but the energy in the gym remained different. Students moved with focus, not arrogance. Laughter was still present, but it was lighter, kinder, without judgment. Maya's presence had shifted the entire atmosphere. Her calm confidence and skill were now a benchmark for everyone. The gym had transformed from a place of ego into a place of respect. Coach Ryan called a meeting. The students gathered around, curious. From today onward, he said, Maya will help lead advanced training sessions. Not because she is the strongest, but because she teaches more than technique, she teaches respect, patience, and humility. Watch her. Learn from her. Maya nodded silently, feeling a quiet satisfaction. She did not boast. She did not demand attention. She simply stood there, a steady presence that commanded respect naturally. The students began pairing up for practice. They were careful now, treating each other with awareness and patience. Even Carlos, the black belt, approached the mat differently. He bowed before every round, observing carefully, and following Maya's guidance when asked. The arrogance that had once dominated the gym was gone, replaced by humility. One day, a new student arrived, a shy teenager who looked unsure of herself. Maya approached her, smiled, and guided her through basic movements. Her voice was calm, encouraging, and patient. The teen's eyes lit up, realizing she was being seen and respected. Maya quietly corrected her stance, demonstrated movements, and celebrated small victories. It was not about showing power, it was about helping others grow. Students watched. They began to understand that strength was more than skill, it was character. They noticed how Maya never bragged, never mocked, never sought attention. Her actions spoke louder than words. Coach Ryan observed from the corner. "This is what I was missing," he said quietly. "This is what true teaching means." Weeks passed, and Maya's influence expanded. The gym became known for not only producing skilled fighters but also respectful, disciplined, and humble students. Parents brought their children to learn not just martial arts, but lessons in courage and integrity. Students who had once been judgmental now mentored newcomers, passing along the lessons Maya had taught them without even saying much. One afternoon, after a long training session, the students gathered around Maya. "Thank you," one of them said. "You've changed the way we see Jiu-Jitsu and each other." Maya smiled softly. "Remember, it's not about belts, trophies, or victories. It's about respect, patience, and heart. That is what makes a true fighter." Coach Ryan added, "And don't forget, humility is the strongest form of power. Maya has proven that." As the students left, they looked back at Maya with admiration and gratitude. She had not only defeated a black belt in seconds, she had also defeated arrogance, judgment, and ignorance. Her lesson went far beyond the mat, it reached into the hearts of everyone in that gym. Maya packed her bag and left, walking calmly into the evening light. The gym was silent, but the impact of her presence remained. Students and instructors alike had learned something that would stay with them forever. True strength is measured by skill, patience, and respect, not appearances or pride. Outside, Maya paused for a moment. She looked up at the sky, took a deep breath, and smiled faintly. Her journey was far from over. She knew challenges would come again, but she had proven one undeniable truth: humility and courage could change everything. And in that quiet, powerful way, Maya had not only won respect, she had inspired transformation. The gym, the students, and even the instructors had been forever changed by her presence.